Welcome to Political Star Talk, an enlightened show about astrology, politics, and the betterment of our society. Join your hostesses Jenny, Sonya, and Sibyl for an hour in the stars. This is Political Star Talk.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Political Star Talk with Sonya Spirit, Jenny McDaniel, and Sibyl Star. Unfortunately, Jenny is not feeling well. She's a little under the weather, not necessarily with illness, but stress and strain on her throat. So, we have to take care of that. But the lovely Miss Sibyl Star is with us today. How are you doing, Miss Sibyl?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you, Sonya. And you?
I am doing very well. Thank you for asking. And today is a wonderful hump day, Wednesday, November 4th, the day after the election. So what do you have to share with us, Miss Sibyl?
Oh, my gosh. It's just as chaotic as we knew it was going to be,
Indeed, yes.
There is just simply no certainty. We are living in times of great uncertainty, and the astrology certainly shows that. And the astrology is showing what we're all feeling, is that we are in the midst of great uncertainty and in turbulent waters, and that is a hard place to be. The human ego, likes to know for certain what's going to happen for certain, because it brings us comfort. And when it brings us out of our comfort zone, when we really don't know, and that's where we are. But I will give some astrological insights of the energy that I see in the field and where it may be taking us.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, do share.
Okay. So I guess the place to start is, we've had this big Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunction in Capricorn pretty much most of the year, which is so much about it's about collapse. It's about decay, old, worn out systems, being shown how they are no longer serving us. Capricorn has to do with the institutions that hold up our civilization, our government, our political system, our healthcare system, our banking system, all of these different institutions. And Pluto transiting through there has been like I said, it's part of the death and rebirth kind of an energy, okay? And so we have had at the helm, of this country, Donald Trump, who is the master of mayhem and chaos, who just from my own personal astrological perspective, that's what he came in to do. Is to be the master of chaos and mayhem, to accelerate the breakdown. And so the question is he going to stay at the helm and accelerate the breakdown, or are we moving into a different phase of the breakdown? I mean, the breakdown is happening. I mean, and at the same time, and I want to bring this in because it's so important. There's a new energy coming in December 21st, 2020, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius. We are having a quantum leap into the Aquarian age, and this new energy is coming in. So on one hand, we have our foot in a paradigm and a system that is the decay is showing. It's not supporting us anymore. And some things might be able to be fixed, but most of it not. And while we're bringing in some new energy, a whole new paradigm, and so we're straddling both worlds. So it's a very much a place of uncertainty, and uncertainty for quite a while. But as far as the election, this is that's kind of like the overall picture. I'm actually very excited about the new energy coming in. It's very much about the quantum field, a new energetic vibration, and anything that doesn't align with this new vibration will fall away. But that doesn't mean that as it falls away, it's not going to be painful. because we don't know, what else. As they say, necessity is the mother of invention, and this needs to be the response. But the old paradigm that we still have one foot in, what is happening there? So I want to start with the planet Mercury. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. It, represents the rational mind. And Mercury has been retrograde. Mercury is actually still stationary, getting ready to go direct. When Mercury is retrograde, and we're still going to be in the retrograde zone for, let me tell you how long, when that will end. And so in the
now, when you say retrograde zone, what does that mean? Because I thought the Mercury retrograde ended yesterday. But what does zone mean?
The zone is kind of an area of going in and coming out. It doesn't just stop, Yeah, and so there's an easing in and an easing out. And so what we do is we look at the degree that Mercury went retrograde, which was at 11 degrees of Scorpio on
October 16th, 14th, something.
Yeah, 13th, I think, here. Let me look, make sure it's 13th or 14th. 13th, okay.
Okay.
And so it's out of the retrograde zone on November 19th, okay? We also have Mars retrograde, and Mars is going to be retrograde until November 13th. First, let's talk about Mercury. Yeah, so Mercury retrograde never makes things easy. I mean, any kind of communication, in any kind of anything that takes logical left brain skills does not do well, okay, in these times. And so needless to say, there's going to most likely be difficulty counting. We're not going to know for a while. But what I want to say is Mercury being in a square, which is, I just noticed that it's a challenging aspect. You don't have to know what a square means. It's just simply there's a challenge here, or we're kind of being thrown a challenge around communication. And it's very much in a square to Saturn. Saturn is about maturity and personal authority, but can also bring up fear. So when these two planets are dancing together, some of the things that it says to me is be careful with your words. Think before you speak. Pause or hold your tongue. Okay, like we don't, it's very, there's a lot of Libran energy in the field, which is about staying centered, in these times of uncertainty and being objective. These times cause great reaction. People just kind of knee-jerk reactions, jumping in. Whereas Mercury in Libra asks us to be diplomatic and to be able to actually see both sides of the situation. No one or political party or group holds the whole truth. And this has been a really huge problem with the dividing lines and people believing they have the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and the other side's just completely wrong. I read something this morning about someone, one of my liberal friends, saying talking about the manipulation of Facebook and the logarithms. But she was only seeing it from the other side, like they are the ones who've been manipulated, not us. We have the truth. How can't people see the truth is because they're being manipulated by Facebook, they're being manipulated by social media, they're being manipulated by the media, but we're not. We have the truth. That's not the way it works. We're all being manipulated, and we're being asked to come to the center and the way to come to the center, because it's like we're in the middle, the key is to get to the middle of the hurricane. And the eye of the hurricane is where there's peace. The minute you react and just have a knee-jerk reaction, you're drawn right back into the storm, and you can't see clearly. There is no clarity when we're reacting from a place of emotion instead of objectivity. And my experience is that objectivity comes when we release our attachment to how the outcome should look. We put our prayer in motion, that, this is moving, and to find that center place, because this what is going on is epic. It's bigger than each of us, but this is what I'm feeling like the stars are saying is how to move through these waters, and it is to pause. It is to just pause, hold your center, as hard as that is to do, because there is that need to want to know. But we're not going to know, and it may well go to the courts. These states are not finished. They're and both sides, whoever wins, the other side is going to say that is happening, that it's already in place. This is all already in place. Organizations, groups to contest the vote. Okay. So that's number one is Mercury. And the other thing is negative thinking will bring imbalance. And to just remember that worry, as much as they say, it's a prayer for creating something you don't want. That thought creates. And the more we can stay in the center, be in the place of uncertainty, and not project out into the future, it's like, oh my God, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? Well, you're creating that happening, what you don't want to happen. So is there anything you wanted to say, Sonya, in response to that?
Well, no, I love the fact that, as far as the election is concerned, you and I agree with you. We've had this discussion, so it is what it is, and that's all I have to say about that.
Right. Okay.
I'm just not vested in either one of these candidates, or, to be quite honest, the outcome. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but for the very same reasons why you felt the same way. It's like, listen, I can't get behind either one of them, not honestly. But I do appreciate certainly the spiritual aspect of it, as far as, listen, there is going to be chaos. There is going to be confusion, disruption to the status quo. And it's also, the thing about it is it's change, the whole change concept. Before something can be created or reborn, something else has to be destroyed or, taken apart, dismantled. And the fact that you said that we just need to basically be still, hold firm, and that's something that most of us are not comfortable doing, because we feel like, we're supposed to be doing something, but some inaction and being still is still an action. It's still a choice, and we have to recognize that. But yeah, that's all I have to add.
Great. All right, great. Thank you, Sonya. Yeah, I totally agree. And so then also what we have coming in is Venus is also in Libra. And not at this moment, but as the month progresses, she's going to be in opposition to Mars, square. Once again, this Jupiter-Pluto-Saturn conjunction in Capricorn, in late Capricorn. And Venus brings in relationship. I have been reading articles about how family members are disowning each other. And, this is what those that actually have the power want. They want this divisiveness. They want us separated. But Venus is saying, where Mercury is talking about our words, our mind, our belief, Venus is talking about our heart connections. And that the most important thing really is our relationships. Like they say, there's a meme going around. After all of this, the only thing that really matters is how we treat each other. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to understand that we do not have the market on truth, that when we can open up and be objective, we can actually see the other side has valid points, we have valid points, they have valid points, nobody has, and they both lie too. And they both are liars. They're both liars. The political parties are liars. The people and what I'm trying to say is, people are more important than what we believe. Mm-hmm. There just simply are. And to rise above the emotions and become objective, that everyone is being manipulated, and we can only see truth from the center. Now, there was something really interesting that happened. Let's see if I can find it, because I wanted to read it here real quick. I can't find it. But anyway, it was, are you familiar with Glenn Greenwald?
No.
Okay. Glenn Greenwald is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist that he was who Edward Snowden came to and gave his document dump.
Okay.
Glenn Greenwald is an attorney and a journalist who's very well respected. And it seems like there was even, I think even the pedophilia scandal, he was also one of the ones that was brought the paperwork because he is such a trusted individual. Such a high integrity person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, I'm trying to see if I can find this darn document. I can't seem to. Let's see here. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah, I do want to read this. Okay, I did find it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So long and the short of it is, there has been so much censorship by the media on the right, okay, not so much on the left, but on the right. And this last thing about Joe Biden and his son Hunter, and I mean, it's not beyond the pale that the son of a politician would be out selling political favors in another country. I mean, hello,
right?
Yeah,
any other time it's called diplomacy, but
Right. But I mean, this is what happens. But this story was totally squashed everywhere. And so Glenn Greenwald, who is who started a news site called The Intercept, resigned because his own news site would not, because apparently he gave up presidency or whatever, being in charge, would not let him publish his own journalistic investigation around what he believed happened. And he's very much of he's been more left than right, but he's certainly center, it's kind of like center left maybe. Mm-hmm. This is what he wrote, and I want to read this because this is so important for us to understand what has been happening, that we've been so, we've been as manipulated as the right. And it's like, Okay, so here's what he wrote. This is the real story of the last 4 years of the Trump administration, which is that for a long time on the left, there was a healthy skepticism of the CIA. There was a lot of anti-war activism in the Bush and Cheney years. That has all disappeared. And the reason it has disappeared is because the CIA, from the very first days of the Trump administration, even before he was inaugurated, devoted themselves to sabotaging the administration because Donald Trump questioned just a few of their pieties, and that can't be done in Washington. Whoever does that must be destroyed. And so the CIA and the deep state operatives became heroes of the liberal left, the people who support the Democratic Party. They are now in full union with the neocons, the Bush-Cheney operatives, the CIA, Silicon Valley, and Wall Street. That is the union of power, along with mainstream media outlets that are fully behind the Democratic Party, which is likely to at least take over one branch of government, if not all of them, with the coming election. And that is a very alarming proposition because they are authoritarian. They believe in censorship, and they believe in suppression of information that exposes them in any kind of a critical light. So I just, there is no market.
So you think that the CIA is more averse to Trump?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And what he's saying here is the liberal left do not realize they have been manipulated into the Democratic Party has now joined forces with the CIA, the deep state, Wall Street, and even the neocons of the Bush-Cheney operatives. They're all on the same page. That's what Glenn Greenwald is saying. And so I think, and the other thing is I guess maybe and this is going back to the astrology, is that my fondest hope was that there would be balance, like, all this Libran energy, that if the Democrats win, that the Republicans would keep the Senate, and unfortunately, the Supreme Court has become politicized, and so that would be Republican. And
well, they said they were talking about stacking the court. So
I know, absolutely. And so, I guess where I'm going with this is I feel like my liberal left friends believe they have the market on truth, and they don't.
You're right. They don't.
And that's what's disturbing to me. And I have a few Republican friends, and they feel the same way, that they have the market on truth and nobody else has it. And this is where we're going. Whereas if we can come to the center and be objective, we can see that both sides lie and both sides
manipulate the truth. And yes.
The whole thing. And the key is, of course, we're moving into the Aquarian age, which is about the people. And,
and I'm excited about that, because you were saying that energy is going to be like intense or.
Yes,
solar,
absolutely. This is what is coming in. It's a 2,000-year age. We're taking a big quantum leap into it. And this is about the people. And this is about, we're moving out of the age of Pisces. And I've said this before, where it's all about a savior. And, we believe our politicians are going to save us. It is not. In the age of Aquarius, each one of us become our own savior.
I love that. Finally.
Yes. And it's about the waking up of the truth of the corruption in both political, this two-system political party is defunct. They're both so corrupt that, and I also know, too, it's like even though we were bringing in this new energy, we still have one foot in this old corrupt system that is, where we pay our bills and where we take,
that whole, not necessarily capitalism, because communism is no better. But that whole, that structure needs to come down.
Yes, it does. And we have a lot of people who may suffer, as it is coming down. And so, it's kind of like, how do we navigate this territory knowing, for me, that's why I felt like this balance where they could maybe do the least amount of damage,
Mm-hmm.
Let's say if Trump won the presidency, then it would be great to have a Democratic Senate.
Congress or Senate, House,
to do as least damage as possible so that the rest of us can get on with bringing in this new energy, building a new world, as we understand, how to create through the quantum field, but then let's kind of get back to what's happening now. And that is, but Mars is going direct. Mars has been retrograde, and there hasn't been a lot of uprising, Mm-hmm. But when Mars goes direct on the 13th, it seems as though there's going to be something that shifts the energy, and that's when we might start seeing, because Mars is the warrior, and Mars acts purely on gut level instincts. But the truth is, with this Mars retrograde, it's really given us an opportunity to look within and to make different choices. Mars retrograde, is about regrouping, and maybe during this time, it is. I don't know. I guess what I want to say is, I'm hoping that people use this time to look within and to see where they were contributing to where they might be contributing to this field of conflict and anger and, just total eruption.
So in terms of, so when Mars go retrograde, are we expecting like more anger or frustration or impatience?
Right, when Mars goes direct, right? Mars has been retrograde.
Okay. So when it goes direct,
it's been held in. Yeah, I can absolutely see some very explosive energy during this time, and that's when Mars goes direct, Venus is opposing Mars, and so Venus is asking us to hold your center, to just simply hold your center, and know that this energy, that it definitely could get a lot more explosive in the external world.
Okay, so like, just help me to put this in perspective. Like, I know with Mercury, we have to watch out for communications, travel, and technology. So with Mars going direct, are there any like categories or classifications or characteristics that we need to look out for in terms of our personality? I like the anger thing. I certainly appreciate that.
Our triggers. Being aware of our triggers and okay, so what I'm hoping is during the Mars retrograde time, which is almost over, but Mars was retrograde for like 2 months, that if we became more aware of our triggers, we won't be so reactive when Mars goes goes direct.
Okay.
Now, did that happen? I don't know. Probably in some people, yes, and some people, no. But it could. I'm just saying, it's very explosive energy, and then we come into the eclipses. Eclipses are harbingers of change. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking battle lines are going to be drawn. That I don't feel like I would. Oh, let's put it this way. I'll be surprised if people automatically accept the results of the election of whoever loses. If whatever side loses, I feel like there will be a battle, and this will go on at least until the end of the year or sometime in December. Well, the Electoral College actually get this. The Electoral College gives their final results on December 14th.
And what happens on that day?
It's an eclipse. It's a solar eclipse.
Wow.
And eclipses are harbingers of change. And I just want to say this eclipse impacts Trump's his own South Node Moon conjunction. The South Node has to do with the past. It has to do with karma. I'm just going to say it's. But Trump is such a trickster, and he's such a master of chaos. It's hard to know exactly what will happen, but it kind of feels like with a South Node eclipse that the potential for him to lose a court case, it could happen, even though he's packed the court.
Right.
Yeah, because it feels, but I could be wrong, but this, and of course, the big challenge with the shadow side of Aquarius as we move into this Aquarian energy, is kind of the herd mentality, the bureaucratic control. Mm-hmm. And so, my concern, of course, is if Biden does win, which absolutely could happen, is that this New World Order situation of the medical tyranny will get much worse. But I also see big resistance coming, If Trump wins, of course, then we've got, there's all kinds of people that could suffer, people of color, people gay and lesbian, all the minorities and the diversity and, and even just, they just basically want to steal our Social Security checks, the Republicans do. So, they're both so bad. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. They really are. And the saying of the lesser of two evils really applies in this situation. And it's like you said, the sad part about it is neither side realized that they're the bad guy. It's so funny because they're so busy finger pointing, and it's and everybody's polarized for the most part. There's very few people, in the center because, people want to see Trump out. and they just want him replaced, but they don't really feel that Biden is the replacement, So it's like, what are we doing here? I mean, because the thing about Trump is, to be quite honest, is what you're getting. You know what you're getting. He's as transparent as they come in terms of his intentions, his motives. Everything is about business. His cronies. He's bettering his friends. They are becoming enriched by his presidency. And of course, the same takes place too on the same takes place too with the Democrats. Only they don't tell everything. It's
right.
Everything is not disclosed. It's all smoke and mirrors, and deals done behind back doors and things like that. So you don't hear about it until much later when it comes out in the news that, oh, by the way, Nancy Reagan used to Gene Dixon, and they ran the White House together because Reagan had dementia. You know what I mean? And this is 20, 30 years later you find
I know. I know.
So it's insane. So the thing about it, well, I'm certainly not a fan of Trump by any stretch of the imagination, but you know what you are getting. And that's why I said the whole system needs to come down, because, I mean, what are you voting for? And it's almost like, all of the commercials, it's just to keep people distracted and focused on this one election where the outcome is, first of all, up in the air, but it really doesn't matter who's in office. Right.
It really doesn't matter. It's their it's the whole system. I mean, it's the paradigm. It's the system that's is so rotten to the core.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but MSNBC said it the best. They were actually describing Trump, but it really applies across the board. They said that the problem with Trump is he doesn't even pretend to care. Is that a problem? Is that a problem? He doesn't care, and he's expressing that he doesn't care. I'd rather have someone who doesn't care and let me know they don't care versus someone who pretends to care. That doesn't benefit me. It may make me feel good, but it doesn't benefit me in the long run. So I don't, it's. And then Obama. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I've been saying this for actually quite a while, that the Republicans are wolves and they don't care, and they don't care that they don't
right.
care. The Democrats are wolves in sheep's clothing. They pretend they care, but they don't. They just,
Yes.
And they come forward with this kind compassion, but they never do anything. When they're actually in office, what do they ever get done? Nothing, because they both serve the same masters.
Yes. Okay. On this note, Sibyl, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to play our Hearts Over Ego commercial, and we will be back in 60 seconds.
Okay.
Welcome to Heart Over Ego Radio, a collection of podcasts designed to enhance your spiritual journey. Join us on Mondays with the Alchemy Sisters and Creating Heaven on Earth. Tuesdays, Star Medicine Podcast and KT Talk Show. Wednesdays, Political Star Talk. Thursdays, The Optimistic Wellness Podcast. Fridays, Turn Yourself In, Self-Mastery for the Intuitive Sensitive Empath. And The Witching Hour, as well as Horror Magic, a show designed to heal stigma around sexuality. Saturdays, Seen and Heard, a podcast about abuse, and Shining the Light on Sex Trafficking. And Sundays, Gather Round for One for All Is Love with Sonya Spirit. We are Heart Over Ego Radio. Find us on any podcast app, Facebook and Instagram. Search Heart Over Ego Radio.
Welcome. And we have the wonderful Sibyl Shepherd shedding light on the the astrology of politics. or snatching back the curtain, more like it. Not.
Well, you just called me Sibyl Shepherd.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
Maybe her birthday is the day after mine, same year.
And I don't listen. I don't even watch anything with her on it. I don't even know why that came out. But my apologies. Sybil
Oh
Star.
no, it's funny. I mean, it happens. Yeah. So, let's see, where was I going to go with this? Oh, okay, and so and even just looking at their charts, as we talked about, Joe's like got nothing going on. It's just like he's just barely there, and and I'm going to say I feel like this is a big difference between the two. I think that Biden is an empty suit. I think whoever is the real power brokers, I mean, he's just going to do as he's told, if he even, survives, and there is that, work that person did about,
Well, also, too, didn't you say, because I want to revisit that, when you said that whoever is the next president, you didn't see them finishing their terms, or the way the alignment was, it doesn't look like they will complete their term. Correct?
Right, exactly. And so and then I'll get right to that, but I want to just address Trump first. Okay, so Joe's chart, like I said, it's like he's just not there. Okay, Trump is very dynamic, has very great aspects and very challenging aspects. Okay, but I also want to say this: Trump, as crazy as he is he's a loose cannon. He can't be controlled by the let's
anyone.
say the powers, right?
Anyone.
By anyone. And so, and I think that is a big difference in the energy as well. And as to, anyway, so let's go to that. So there was and I want to talk about the inauguration, because the energy of the inauguration, there could be a frickin' assassination on that day. It is such intense energy that day.
Let's see what day January 20th falls on.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I'll talk about that. But anyway, because this prediction, I'm just going to call it a prediction, that a person made, a different astrologer, who had gone back ever since in the beginning of the USA. And so the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction, it's called the Great Conjunction. It happens every 20 years. Just like clockwork. But it doesn't always happen in the same time of the year. Mm-hmm. And so this year it is happening on December 21st, 2020. And so even though they won't be it's just an incredible alignment. 0 degrees Aquarius on winter solstice. And like I said, these two planets have been traveling in earth signs for the last 200 years. It's going into air signs, and which is a much different energy. It's the zeitgeist of the age. And so the zeitgeist is Aquarian, and it's a big movement into the Aquarian age. But they are still in range of what we call a conjunction. Like, you've probably seen them in the sky together. If you look up at the night sky, they're very close. Well, on December 21st, they should be almost to where they just look like one star. Okay, but they're still in range of a conjunction on the day of the inauguration. And the research this person did to make this prediction was that every time the Jupiter and Saturn were still conjunct on Inauguration Day, that president did not finish their 4-year term.
So when's the last time it happened? On a inauguration?
Well, it had been,
okay. You don't know offhand. That's okay.
Yeah, it would probably have to be Kennedy.
Yeah.
One would think, I don't know, I would have to look at it and see.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but she had listed, what was it? She had listed 8 times, and I just don't remember if Kennedy was in it. What year was Kennedy? Kennedy was
62, 60, 63. 11 was
right.
11.
It would have been 1960, so I don't know. We'll have to look and see. So in 1960, yeah, that would have been it. I don't know.
Well, I think it would have been 61, because doesn't it, like, the election is usually like on the even number, and then
Right. So the conjunction would have been, if they had it, I would have to go back and look and see. And I'll try to have that information next time we talk. Okay. But anyway, actually on that day, not only is so that the sun is at 0 degrees Aquarius, it's always held at 0 degrees Aquarius, which is interesting because that's the same degree of the exact Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. And it's conjunct Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. But there is also a Moon-Mars-Uranus conjunction. And squaring it was a challenge. And Mars, and those three planets together is like incredibly high volatility, unpredictability, and with Mars involved, potential violence. So, I mean, even if nothing happens to the president that day, it seems like there could be huge...
Viva la revolución.
Yes, exactly. And Uranus, which is the planet of revolution, is the planet of shaking everything up, shaking the status quo, is in a square to Saturn most of the year 2021 and 2022. They're kind of traveling together in a very shaking things up. So it's like, I feel like even if, let's say, Joe Biden does win and the New World Order does take a stronger footing here in the United States, the resistance is well and alive.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the resistance is well and alive. And the other thing, that could happen is, and I'm speculation, if the Democrats win, is we might see a really heavy hand with demonstrations. Well, either one, even if Trump wins, let's just say either way, whoever is demonstrating at the inauguration, I think maybe a real heavy hand from the military, from the government will show up. Yeah.
Well, and I don't want to say necessarily the Republicans, but the right base, they have a tendency to come to the protest with weaponry.
Yes.
They don't generally come with signs.
I know, and it's
a stop sign.
Yeah. Yeah, and right, and let's just say, because I have friends that are part of the local the Minutemen. A friend of mine in Kansas, and I said, that's a militia group, and she said, oh no, it isn't. It's like, what? What do you mean it's not? Have you?
Right, but in her mind, it's not.
Right.
Because of what she believes and what she stands for, and she doesn't see herself as a militia group.
Right, and even though they're coming with guns, oh no, we're not a militia group.
Right. we have the right to bear arms.
No, her what she said was that we're coming to keep the peace.
Oh wow. Right.
Yeah. So right.
And they don't see the irony in that. If you were keeping the peace, you'd leave the weapons at home. Exactly.
Right. Not seeing the irony at all. Yes. And so, yeah, it is, I am hoping, I feel like with the coming of the Aquarian age, with the vibration being raised, moving into a higher vibration, that more people will wake up. But that doesn't mean they will. It is the opportunity. Like I said, it's about grassroots movements. It's about the power of the people, but the people only have the power if they have a high vibration. If they sink to the lowest common denominator, it just becomes anarchy.
So that's another reason for us to be still, so that we can focus on, like you said, holding our energy or even elevating our energy so we don't succumb to the anarchy.
Absolutely, Sonya. That's the whole key right there. That's what this is about.
And I really appreciate this because moving forward, I am going to iterate, the need, the necessity for, because one of my things is be still and know that I am God, but just be still, understand how important this is. Everything, you don't have to do something. You don't have to react or respond to everything. Sometimes the best reaction or response is nothing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And to line up with our higher self, with our our soul speaks in a small, still voice, and we can only hear it when we are still. And that is the only way we know how to move forward. If we, other than that, it's just a reaction to external events.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so so winter solstice, you said it's going to be tremendous energy. Is it the beginning of the Aquarian shift, or is it more of an expression of the Aquarian shift?
I'm calling it a leap. Now, that doesn't mean we're fully there.
Right.
We still have 1 foot. We're having 1 foot in both worlds, but there is still a big move forward. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's the Aquarian age is about consciousness. Okay. Mm-hmm. It is about moving into higher levels of consciousness and aligning with the vibration that is coming into Mother Earth, and that is love, and that is wisdom, and so it may seem. I'm just going to say it may seem like that's the most important work is consciousness work. Mm-hmm. Because because Aquarius is the sign of a group, and it's called the new group of world servers, the new order of world servers. It is the family of humanity, and it is about raising collective consciousness so that we can actually create a different world. But the key is we can't have a collective, conscious collective if we don't have conscious individuals.
This is true.
Yeah. So, yeah. And that is the key. And the other key, of course, is, understanding how thought creates. Words and thought create.
Yes.
Learning how to use our minds in a way that creates what we want, not what we don't want.
Well, we have to refocus our thinking and our feeling. And it's so, and I'm glad you said that because, if we just listen to ourselves, do we naturally complain? Do we see the glass half empty or half full? And these are questions we need to ask ourselves or ask someone else honestly, who would honestly assess you. Am I part of the problem or am I part of the solution?
Right, there you go. Well, you know what they say, and this is a teaching that just kind of recently came in, and it said that we don't necessarily create every one of the external events. Mm-hmm. What we do create is our own experience of it by our response to external events. So in that way, we create our reality. And the more we're able to respond in a way from a higher vibration, from a place of being centered, the more often our experiences will reflect a more positive experience, I guess is the way I want to say it. There's a better way to say it, but that's what's coming through. Yeah. So it's it's like every day counting your blessings, just saying thank you.
Yes.
That raises your vibration and your experience of what is happening instead of, like you said, complaining and finding all the problems, seeing what is good here, what is helpful, how, and, just being grateful that that you have food on the table, that you have, whatever your blessings are, to find them.
And we have them all. No matter what we have something to be thankful for.
Exactly.
And that's what we do need to focus on. We need to focus on what we have, what we appreciate, not what others have and what we don't have by comparison. Exactly. Because that's where we often find ourselves. We're always focused on the lack or the absence of something versus appreciating the presence of something.
Right. And the other really important piece is as we're in this quantum field, as our new understanding of reality, is anything can happen. Miracles happen all the time, and to not think, or let's put it this way. Let's see. As we are in the process of creating a new world, that just because something hasn't worked in the past doesn't mean it won't work now. We're in a field of unlimited possibility and potential, and to stay open to, something that we don't understand being able to happen.
Yeah, you have to trust. I tell people all the time, listen, don't worry about the how. Don't focus on the how. The universe takes care of the how. We limit ourselves and we prevent ourselves from doing anything because the first thing that comes to mind is, I don't see how that's going to happen. Where am I going to get the money from? Who's going to give me the opportunity? I don't have the education. We limit and restrict ourselves by once again, focusing on the lack or the absence thereof.
Exactly. And what has happened in the past, that something different couldn't happen. But we are in an age of miracles. I feel like this is the big piece of working in the quantum field. So we are in anything can happen. Just because we don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not possible.
Yes. And that's another one of my favorite Bible verses. With God, all things are possible. Every outcome is a potential possibility.
Absolutely. And to just hold both in there. There's plan A and there's plan B. You just, what is it? You chop wood, carry water. What is it? Before enlightenment, you chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, you chop wood, carry water.
Yes.
We're still in this field, this 3D field, but it is shifting, and it is about our consciousness shifting it.
Yes, and we do have an individual responsibility. Oh my goodness! So I'm interested. I was interested in knowing, because I didn't really see, going back to politics. I really didn't see Biden putting up a fuss if he didn't win. I saw him more like an Al Gore, because look at him during the debates. And I didn't see the second one when they had control was there a second one? But anyway.
Yeah, there was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But, in the first one, it was like, Trump just steamrolled him with his ridiculousness, basically.
Right.
So I don't really see him putting up a fight. Now, however, I do see that being Kamala's purpose. Being a former U.S. State attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So I see that being more her fight than his, because I really saw her being a whole lot more active if that's the direction that it goes in, that Biden's in office. I really saw her being a whole lot more active, like you said, than Biden, because I agree, Biden is just there. He's you can see the strings. You can see the strings.
You can see the strings, exactly.
Yes. So when you said an empty suit, that was perfect, because you see the strings, and that's just the way he is, which is why he didn't excite a lot of people, because you don't really know what he stands for. You know what he says, but it conflicts, like the Joe Biden of the 90s when he was under Bill and Hillary Clinton's influence. He was all for reforming the whole prison industrial complex. Now, everyone says, oh, that's horrible, and look at what we've done to the police. And, now he's on that side because that's where everyone else is. So you don't really know what you're getting with him. But I did think that Kamala, that was going to be more of her charge if the Democrats, if it does get stolen, so to speak. But it's interesting because based on the electoral college votes, the blue states, and they have the light blue and light pink for the undecided right now.
Right.
And I think they just called Arizona for Biden, because it actually changed colors while we were on the on the podcast.
Yeah, I think the state that's going to decide it is Nevada. They've only got 6 votes, but it is because I think Biden will win Wisconsin. I think Biden will win Michigan. I think Biden absolutely won Arizona. Pennsylvania is a toss-up. I don't know. Trump could win it. He's way ahead now, but they haven't counted the votes in Philadelphia. And,
yeah, it's only 64% voting. Reporting right now.
But Nevada, Joe Biden would not need Pennsylvania if he won Nevada, and there's less than a percentage point difference now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In Nevada, but I definitely think Biden, because they've got 98% counted in Michigan, 95% counted, and I don't know, a big high in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the likely, and the places they're still counting are the cities, you know,
right,
like Detroit and
the urban areas, which of course are less likely to be Republican.
Right, less likely to be Republican. So I think he's won those. But if he wins Nevada, I think he will win. If he doesn't win Nevada, then Pennsylvania is the one to look at. And like I said, they're going to be a long time counting. You know,
mm-hmm.
California is just always kind of out of the running. It's so blue here that you know,
right.
It's, you know, you don't even. I mean, I ended up. I'll just tell you how I voted. I ended up writing in Marianne Williamson. You know, I decided to do it as a prayer. And for someone that really walks in the world and, you know, teaches love. I mean, she's got many wonderful teachings, and she's pretty hip as to what's happening. So anyway, I use my vote as a prayer.
Well, and what is funny that you mentioned that. Whenever I don't prefer a candidate, I write myself in.
Oh, you do?
Yes, ma'am.
There you go.
And this year my stepdaughter did it too. She said, you know, I know it's important to vote. She was like, so I did what you said. I said, what was that? I didn't even remember. She was like, I wrote myself in. I said, good for you.
That is so great. I love that. Yeah, I couldn't vote for either candidate. And like I said, you know, being here in California, you know, it's blue no matter who. So in the presidential election, my vote just doesn't matter, you know.
Right.
So I chose to use it as a prayer. And that's what I did. Yeah.
Well, awesome.
But it took me a long time to come to that decision as to what to do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's been my default since Bush. Since 2000.
Wow. Well, I'll remember.
Yeah. I just write myself in. It's a no-brainer. I get the little sticker. Everyone's appeased. The public, you know. Oh, she did her civic duty. Yeah, but you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
All right. Well, Miss Sibyl, thank you so much. You have given us a lot to work with, and I am so excited about the winter solstice. I'm nervous about Mars, the direct Mars, because I have to, you know, every now and again I get hooked. And I react when I know I should be exercising a discerning response, but every now and again I get hooked and I just express myself in a way that I'm really not pleased with, you know, and it's not, you know, I'm not over the top, but it's like, you know, when I have a chance to think about it, it's like that wasn't the best response.
Right. You know, we all have that, but at least it comes back and you think about it, you know, and it gives you an opportunity. I've just learned what I do now is I just recognize if I'm triggered. I'm triggered, what has triggered me, and I just have to step away. And then I kind of work through it, and then I can give an actual response.
Yes.
Instead of just a reaction.
Yes. And yes, ma'am. And I work on that as well, too.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we are coming to a close. I'm so excited about just all that's unfolding. We still don't have a president or don't know who the next one is, so to speak. And I didn't even get to touch on, I wanted to talk about Nostradamus and his prediction. You know, that it's kind of cryptic, but, you know, they said that he made a prediction about really a president who is going to create a stir, something about visiting and change the laws, but we'll have to talk about that some other time.
Yeah, we will. We'll talk about that next time, whenever. And I don't know for sure when next time is.
We'll have to talk to Jenny about that. And Jenny, get well soon. This is a shout out to you. Heal your voice. Get well soon, so that you can host on our next show whenever that is. So stay posted. Sibyl, you got any closing remarks? Where can they find you?
Just take care of yourselves and be kind to yourselves.
All right. And where can you be found? Your website?
Oh, I'm Sibyl, SibylStar.com. That's spelled SIBYLSTAR.com. I have a new website. Please go to it. All my services are there.
Excellent. And I'm Sonya Spirit. You can find me on Facebook at humanist consciousness. All right, that's all we have for today. Thank you. We love you. Happy hump day. Enjoy and stay focused.
All right. Bye, Sonya.
Goodbye.